Hi, I'm Lisa.
And I'm Michelle, and today we're going to hear from some amazing women who have an incredible story to tell.
When I get excited, it is hard to get me to stop talking. And that's what we're going to see in our God story today and our life story, which ties into today's big idea that Jesus wants us to share his good news with everyone. Let's watch.
Hey, it's Lynda, and it's so great to be hanging out with you this Easter. Easter time is a really important memory for the church. It's the time that we remember that Jesus beat death because he rose from the dead. Even death couldn't stop Jesus. We remember when Jesus showed us that everything he said about himself, about God's kingdom and God's great love for us was proven to be true. And it's so exciting, and it leads us to our big idea, that Jesus wants us to share his good news with everyone. Good Friday is the day that we remember that Jesus died, a horrible death on the cross, because the people who were in power were threatened by who he was. But in doing this, he beat death and took away the impact of sin that was separating us from God. So in Jesus' willingness to die for us, we can see God's amazing love and that Jesus saved us from our sin. Easter Sunday is where we remember and recognize that Jesus' death isn't the end of the story, not at all, because Jesus rose from the dead. Now, a few of the women who followed Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mary mother of James, and Salome, bought some spices and were going to take them to where Jesus' body was buried. So these spices would have been used to help with the smell of the dead body. But as the women were walking towards the tomb with these spices, they suddenly had a thought. Who was going to roll the really large stone away from the tomb entrance so they could get in to apply the spices? Let's jump into God's story in Mark chapter 16, verse 4, and see what happened next. But as they arrived, they looked up and saw that the stone, which was very large, had already been rolled aside. When they entered the tomb, they saw a young man clothed in a white robe sitting on the right side. The women were shocked, but the angel said, "Don't be alarmed. You are looking for Jesus of Nazareth who was crucified. He isn't here. He is risen from the dead. Look, this is where they laid his body. Now go and tell his disciples, including Peter, that Jesus is going ahead of you to Galilee. You will see him there just as he told you before he died." The women fled from the tomb, trembling and bewildered, and they said nothing to anyone because they were too frightened. So nothing was the way that they thought it was going to be. They were heading to put spices on the body of their friend Jesus who had died, but he wasn't there. He was risen? Can you even imagine? Imagine you were going to the tombstone of a friend to grieve, and you found the grave open and an empty casket. That's what it would have been like for these women. So the next verses tell us that Jesus rose from the dead and appeared to Mary Magdalene, and she went and told all of the disciples who had been grieving and crying. And when they heard Jesus was alive, they didn't believe her. After that, Jesus appeared to two of the disciples while they were out walking in the country. But when they went back to the other disciples to tell them, again, no one believed them. Later, Jesus appeared to the remaining disciples when they were eating. Let's see what he said to them. "Go into all the world and preach the good news to everyone. Anyone who believes and is baptized will be saved, but anyone who refuses to believe will be condemned. These miraculous signs will accompany those who believe. They will cast out demons in my name, and they will speak in new languages. They will be able to handle snakes with safety, and if they drink anything poisonous, it won't hurt them. They will be able to place their hands on the sick, and they will be healed." When the Lord Jesus had finished talking with them, he was taken up into heaven and sat down in the place of honor at God's right hand. And the disciples went everywhere and preached, and the Lord worked through them, confirming what they said by many miraculous signs. The first part of that is incredibly important, not just for the disciples, but also for us today. Jesus said, "Go into the world and preach the good news to everyone." Jesus came to show us God's love, what love really looks like, to save us from sin, to set up God's kingdom, his most excellent way of living, and to be the very final sacrifice of all time. Jesus did this so you and I can share in life together with God. And Jesus gave the disciples the ability to do all sorts of miraculous things, to prove to people that what they said was absolutely from God. And then when Jesus was done talking to them, he went up into heaven and sat at the right hand of God. And do you know what the disciples did? They went out and preached everywhere the good news of Jesus. I love Easter because it is such a good reminder of the good news that we get to experience and live every day. You see, it's not just about being saved. It's about getting to live in the beautiful good news way that is God's kingdom and inviting others to join in. Jesus loved us so much that he died for us. And in doing this, he showed us God's love and removed the barrier of sin that was separating us from God and gave us the opportunity to be in close relationship with God again. And even better, Jesus didn't stay dead. He rose from the dead and showed us that he's the conqueror and defeater of death. He is alive. This is great news, and I want to share it with everyone, and I hope you do too. There are people who ride your bus, who sit next to you in class, who are on your team, or maybe who you game against, some people you haven't even met yet, who are craving to hear this great news of Jesus. And Jesus wants us to share his good news with everyone. It's been great hanging out with you today. I'll see you next time.
Now that is what I call good news. Jesus beating death is something to get really excited about and share with everyone you know.
Absolutely. Lisa, okay, you know tons of people.
Yeah.
How do you share the good news with them?
Well, I guess on social media, I'm not really shy about what I believe. And if I meet someone who says they're going through a hard time, I'm willing to pray for them, even if it's in public.
Yeah, you do that a lot. Okay, but I would like you to meet Molly. Molly's like one of the most amazing, bubbliest people you'll ever meet, and she found a unique way to share news all around the world, but still keep Jesus at the center of it all. Watch this.
Before we talk tech, let's get to your top news stories. My name is Molly Thomas, and I've always wanted to be a journalist because I get to talk to people for a living. Even when I was a little kid, I remember some of these traits that my family tells me. They used to call me Big Mouth Molly. I never shut up, ever. Always talking. I was a little annoying, I won't lie. Always asking questions. And in that planning, there's of course storytelling.
Yes.
So talk to me about that. Why do you love to tell stories?
Growing up, I think all of us have our stories. It's a way that we learn about the world.
I got kicked out of a few classes because I talk so much. Very rebellious, yeah. I had that rebellious side to me for sure, my mom would say. I felt like I could do anything. I remember going to Disney World at 7 with my family. All of them were scaredy cats. Nobody wanted to ride the rides. I'm there by myself, Indiana Jones, riding the whole rides by myself. Loved it, loved the whole experience. So I felt invincible. So I feel like some of those things have translated into the work that I do today. Wanting to do journalism, I really loved TV. I loved TV because I thought it was this magical place with studios and lights and everyone can see you. But when God started to get a hold of my heart, he started to show me that his storytelling is so much more than that, and that it's not just about me, it's actually about other people.
There's no animals, there are no people, there's nothing out here. And that tells us there's no food or water anywhere in this area.
So he gave me this huge heart for people, especially people that are going through very, very difficult circumstances. And so in my life, you know, he's just opened up opportunities to go to dangerous places in the world, to go to places that maybe many of us don't want to go to. And I have such a love and such a passion for it. And that's all about God, because that wasn't me. That wasn't me at all.
When was the moment that you knew you had to leave your home country?
Part of my job is also just going out there, find the people that so many of us don't even know about, and bringing that back home. I think he's taken some of those traits, right? He's taken that big mouth Molly, and he's put me around advocacy issues and given me a microphone and a platform to speak from. He's taken those annoying traits. I need those when I go into dangerous countries. I think he's taken that rebelliousness and morphed it, you know, into this fighting spirit that you need, especially as a woman, as you're traveling into these places. And I think the invincibility I've realized now is this crazy reliance on the God of the universe, that no matter where I go in the world, I feel safe. So I want to do this type of storytelling because it's about other people, and it's about how we can respond to those people in our world that are really our brothers and sisters. They're just on a different side of the world. And we see what happens when you do those types of stories. We see refugees sponsored into Canadian families. We see newcomers being welcomed into small rural communities. We see people giving money towards famine in a country that they didn't know anything about before. So yes, it's not just about focusing on the worst part of humanity, it's focusing sometimes on the best. And I get to be just a tiny, tiny part of that because there's hope. There's hope in every story. In the news, we work with so many people. Producers, directors, camera, lighting people, even people you don't even know about. But I have learned that God is the greatest news director in life. And he has the biggest adventurous spirit. The question is, do we want to run with him? Coming up tonight, a princess to be with a Canadian connection. We will tell you about that story coming up later this evening.
It's neat to hear how much of a natural storyteller Molly is. In fact, I wish I could do the same thing.
Yeah, I loved it too. And what I also loved is how she described God as the biggest news director with the biggest, most great, adventurous spirit. I just loved it.
Yeah, thanks Molly for sharing your story with us and opening our eyes to different stories that are happening around the world.
Yeah, so let's get into our small groups now and see what this looks like in our own lives.